Yo, hello everybody, and welcome to a roundtable. Something that I really enjoy to do, and the topic of today is native. My name is Stefan Mühlbauer, known in the industry as Affpal, and today are joining me here in this roundtable three absolutely experts in the native space. And they will share their take on native for 2025, where we are already in, but also for the further future. And native is one of the hottest traffic sources out there for many verticals. And I made a quick research, and it says that in the last 4 years, the native ads market increased by nearly 400% and is now worth a total of 400 billion USD. So I have to record quite a lot of sponsored podcasts to reach this number. So good that we have people here that make this number.
Maybe you should just run some native.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. I can join the Native Hub and learn how to do it, right? So, okay, then I would say we start with a quick introduction from all three of you. All three of you comes from different fields, and all three of you are absolute, I would say, gurus, but then it would hand over directly to start to Guru Media to Frank. But I would say, Yulia, you as the lady in the circle of trust, please give an introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stefan. So my name is Yulia. I am a EU sales team lead at MGID, and I have taken this position for more than 6 years already. For those who don't know what MGID is, it's a global performance-driven advertising platform that helps basically affiliate marketeers, brand owners, and publishers, each with different particular goal. Here, we're going to talk more about media buyers, affiliate marketing, and advertising sphere in total. So for these type of the clients, we are serving our core ad format, which is native ads. We have been doing that for more than 16 years already. And just to touch base, the core markets that we are present in, which actually physically we're being present in 15 markets all over the globe, but we're the strongest in the EU, in LATAM, and we have a lot of inventory in English-speaking markets and Southeast Asia. So that's a short intro of who we are at MGID.
Not bad. 16 years on the market in native. Okay, then the next one. Who wants of you fine gentlemen?
I'll go.
Frank, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, I'm Frank. I've been in this industry almost my whole life, basically since I've been 20. I started as a mailer, doing emails, mailing lists, transitioned into a news website basically for about 6 or 7 years, which was a pretty big project for me without prior experience in both a news website and management of so many people. We actually grew the website to 200 writers and about 15 editors. The most interesting part about that was that we did it, most of it remotely. We had a local office with only a handful of employees, but the rest of the employees were all remote. I learned a few things about how to manage people remotely, which are interesting. It's both a psychology. It takes both psychology and also classic management, textbook, classic textbook management stuff. And after that, I transitioned on. The news industry just took a dive about a few years ago. Collectively, there was a lot of layoffs. There was a lot of issues with traffic. So I naturally came over back to this side of the industry, which I also forgot to mention right before I got into the news industry. I also did media buying, but it was for a short amount of time. It was for a couple of years. It was a lot of volume, but it was around a time where everyone was already being super competitive in this space. It was very tough to stay in, which is why I chose to go news. But again, when I came back to Guru Media, I decided to take it on full time. And basically what used to be at the time a very private, exclusive affiliate network, basically there was no process of actually getting in. It was like basically if you knew the owner or if you knew someone there, you just get in. We decided we might want to make it a little bit more public. And that's basically where I am today. I became the CEO of Guru Media for the past few years. And ever since then, we are still a private exclusive network, but we have a process of accepting publishers and media buyers to come join us and build our team of basically what we call the internal team of media buyers.
Interesting, by the way, Google Media is the most represented company in my podcasts. We had also Adam, what is until today the most watched podcast that we had on this channel. And we had also Victoria on the very first roundtable that we did, and it was about business development. Okay, Andrew, you turn.
Thanks very much, guys. And you had some incredible introductions. They're very hard to beat, but we're not here to compete, right? So I'm Andre. I used to work for Taboola, which is a company that operates in the same space as MGID. So also a native advertising platform with traffic in different geos across the world, and some more and some less. So I worked there for 5.5 years in the sales director capacity for Central Eastern Europe and Israel. So as you would imagine, quite a few affiliates and arbitrageurs and brand owners. This is where I got the opportunity to work with Frank, got the opportunity to meet Yulia for the first time. I believe it was in Barcelona a couple of years, and got an opportunity to work with some of the brightest and most amazing marketers out there who we've helped launch on Taboola back then. But then I believe 2 years ago, I left the company along with a couple of other folks from Taboola, and we've joined forces with Taboola's largest spender at that time, and we created this company called Zivio, which essentially operates as a holding company that enables success on native for anyone who wants to do it. And we do it via several different divisions. So we have an education division, which is called Native Hub. It's a live consulting platform that anyone can join, ask their questions, and receive live answers, which is particularly important, especially if you're lacking support being in self-service, or if you're just getting started in the industry, you're not quite sure, or let's say for some reason your account personal account manager is not really offering you the support that you're expecting. So it's something that we can offer at scale to anyone who wants to run native, wants to succeed, run Guru Media, wants to run MGID. It doesn't really matter. We've centralized all the knowledge possible in one place and made it very affordable for a very specific reason. We believe in native. We would like to grow it. Now, we do have other divisions, and I suppose not going to touch base on every single one of them, but the most important one is the agency itself. We're supporting some of the largest clients with native in the past, and currently we worked with Ergo, the largest insurance provider in Germany, and one of the largest in Europe. So lead generation client. We're supporting some of the largest D2C brands on native, those whose revenue exceeds 200 million annually. And we're working with quite a few other interesting brands like Total Security. We've supported Capital One in the past. We've supported HelloFresh in the past. What it means that we're working very closely with the traffic sources or CPA networks in some cases, and we help scale their business on native. So we operate as a full service agency, meaning that we take all the headache away from you. You don't need to media buy, you don't need to copyright, you don't need to design. We essentially do everything in-house for these brands, and we make sure that they spend more budgets on native and that they are kept happy. So I'm a co-founder and a head of business development at this company. Good to be here.
So hearing Ergo and HelloFresh as your clients, it says quite a bit that you have people in your company that are from Germany, right?
We do. I mean, we are headquartered in Germany, in Cologne, or Köln, as I should say, as a representative of a German company. But yeah, quite a few clients we have are German-based, and this is where our office is based as well. But we also have the staff, colleagues, friends all over the world, some sitting in London, just like myself, and some sitting in Holland. I believe we do have some in Ukraine as well. Well, I don't believe I know for a fact we have some in Ukraine, and we have a couple of folks in Asia as well.
Okay, so 3 killers, no fillers here. The only filler is maybe me, because about native, I'm a bit green behind my ear. But that's also nice to host these roundtables to learn something more. And we hear now in the first question a bit about new compliance rules. that is affecting every traffic source. This is affecting every vertical. So how will evolve the privacy laws and content regulations in shaping affiliate creatives and landing pages? This is the question that we have here, and we want to hear, of course, strategies to stay compliant in these shifts of the regulation landscape. So let's speak about this. What is new? What is new regulated? What makes the life of everybody involved in native harder?
So I'll give Yulia the stage first as a representative of the traffic source and sort of just to follow the pattern.
Sure. So I just actually, when thinking of that, I remember the loudest case, and that's what I want to talk about in the search feed industry that happened. So at the end of the December in 2024, Google rolled out the update, which affected 50% of the traffic by changing and making the rules regarding the SERP landing page, basically the landing page of the park domain, how it should look like, which in essence made it look cleaner. And last week, and we're speaking today on January 16th for the record, because I'm not sure when the video will be published. Last week, it rolled out its update for the rest 50% of the traffic, which basically means for the media buyers that their conversion rates got lower and the RPMs were affected a lot. So now most of the media buyers we work with are keeping a close look into the CPCs and in general profitability of the campaign. But where I lead is that in the long run, it's a continuous game, or I would say battle of Google, for the safer, cleaner, and more quality ad environment, since the user shouldn't feel ambiguous about the landing page that he sees, and in no case this landing page should be misleading. And this is not what happens only in the walled garden. That's the same situation is in the open web as well. So in MGID, we of course have to follow the local rules and regulations of each specific market and of each specific publisher that we are working with. And once advertisers are bringing in some risky advertorials, that is being continuously checked. And not because it affects our relationship with the publishers, but also since the competition between the advertiser within one widget is being compromised. So at the end, we have to follow and we make our advertiser follow the compliance rules that are being published. It's no way that we can somehow influence that. And in order for the media buyers to make sure they're placed on the premium inventory, they have to create the ads that comply with those high safety ranking rules.
What
So
are there,
that's
for
my
example,
standpoint.
the new rules? Are there verticals? Are there advertisers that are getting looked now on a little bit closer? Is there something standing out where you say like, okay, these guys have now really a bigger problem, or it's like a general thing?
No, it's a general thing. There is not one specific category that just appeared that we are trying to oversee. There are evergreen verticals that we always continuously check because we know that they are high risky ones, but nothing new appeared in terms of that. And we're all the time communicating, like our account managers and sales reps are all the time communicating to the clients whenever something new happens, because we know in advance, since we're following the news, and we have a huge moderation team that is also being located in all of those offices that we have on a worldwide basis. So we know whatever is happening in each market, and like we are trying to tell our clients in advance once something new is going to happen and is going to interrupt their campaigns, to make sure that this hit is not as harsh as it eventually is.
I have one question more operational. When you inform the clients about these changes, you practically release like blog posts, you send newsletters, you inform them individual when they are bigger, or how is it usually done?
It's newsletter for all of the clients, and account managers go directly and talk with their biggest clients in person to make sure that the client actually reach the goals.
Okay.
Reach the news, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the goals and the news, both important. Frank,
Yep.
for you as somebody that is owning offers, managing offers, how are these new regulations affecting, for example, product and landing pages on your side?
So within the context of native, for example,
Mhm.
or it could even just be in context of any advertising. One of the verticals, as you categories of products that get a lot of changes in regulations, new regulations, health supplements, and financial services, for example. Um, Obviously, both for two different reasons. Financial services deals with people's finances, and there's a lot of new regulations starting to come in, and health, because dealing with people's health. So, what it's honestly, being a lawyer is the only way to be on top of it in a real way. Like if you want to be on top of every single change, then you have to be a lawyer. That's why lawyers exist. But fortunately for us in this age, we have AI. And there's a and again within the context of native, this is true, and also within the context of any ad network, you can download the ad networks, the entire document of their compliance rules, and basically can download the entire thing, feed it into AI, and now train the AI, basically give the AI this data and say you don't even need anything. You can do it in ChatGPT. You give it the entire document, and then now you have an agent which knows all the compliance rules of, for example, Taboola or MGID. And now when you can introduce your creatives and landing pages through this AI by saying, hey, go through my landing page or go through my creatives and tell me if there's anything that would contradict the rules in this. And we've done this. It works. It's amazing. Actually, we have our own compliance sheet that we give, which is goes back to your first question. How do we manage our offers? Well, we do have a universal compliance rules that applies to any offer. And these are pretty strict compliance rules. We have our own agent, which basically we feed it these landing pages and creatives, and the agent tells us this landing page, it contradicts with our own rules, or that this landing page needs this change. Obviously, I can go into this more and more in depth, but that's basically how also affiliates can, or in your case, your clients can use the same exact process, duplicate it, and it works pretty well. Now, you can use something similar to this by going to, let's say, of course, it takes a little bit of legwork and research. You can go to all these, let's say you want to advertise in the US, you want to advertise health supplements. You can also, again, use AI or your own research to gather all the important rules and regulation and laws regarding what to do with health supplements. But when you advertise health supplements, and you can feed that also into AI as an agent, which basically AI now is working for you as a lawyer and also, as a partner lawyer, anything you want to think of it's definitely artificial intelligence, pretty powerful. It can go through thousands of words and cross-check your whatever the content is and say, hey, in here you said, for example, that you're going to lose weight, and you give a specific number of pounds that you will lose in a specific number that you cannot do this. So we'll find even things as small as that. And this can be really powerful for everyone all around. If a native platform could be proactive about actually doing both of these, like meaning they can build their own AI that automatically goes through all of these pages, and even a step further, they could possibly even say, give the same kind of response to the publishers by saying, on this page here, you have an issue, and this issue is like against this law in the United States, for example, or is against our own platform rules, or it's unethical. So it can even be done with words and such. Basically, in a nutshell, that's in the context of but yes.
Not
I'm
bad.
just gonna interrupt for 1 second because there might be a vocabulary misunderstanding for those who are new in the industry.
Okay.
Because what I refer as a traffic source and publisher, and like what Frank refers to a publisher, is two different things. So for me, I refer to a publisher as a website, whereas Frank refers to the publisher as to someone who is media buyer for me.
Affiliate, pretty
Just
much.
to make that
Yes.
clear. Yeah, affiliate or
It's
media buyer.
it's a great point, actually. That's something that I had to deal with in the past as well. I mean, the logic is there. It's someone who produces traffic. A traffic can be produced either by a person who is buying it, or it can be produced by a digital property that is being monetized by either, a traffic source like MGID or by whatever we might be talking about. But yeah, very, very insightful, you both. Very, very cool stuff. Stefan, would you like me to add anything?
Yeah, if you have something to add. Yes, I mean, they were sharing so much things, so we can also move on to the next one. But if you have something, please don't hold back.
I'll keep it short. I mean, obviously, the most insight in this case would certainly come from a traffic source or from a product owner. But from the media buying perspective, I can say that the industry's changed a lot. Things that weren't allowed a couple of years ago are suddenly allowed. And at the same time, a lot of things that people used to run back in the day, they are no longer present, active, or even, again, allowed on the traffic sources, unless you're running on like very, very niche traffic sources, which still exist today, but they would not offer you the scale that you can get on the biggest traffic sources like MGID. So one thing to add here, and again, I really like Frank's point on a media buyer being sort of, what's the word for this? A jack of all trades. I suppose you need to be a little bit of a lawyer, a little bit of a designer, a little bit of a psychologist, because you need to understand the pain points. You need to know how to address them from the creative perspective, what angle to push. So you need to, basically be a bit of everything in order to succeed in this industry, which is ever changing. So be flexible and constantly do the research. I mean, as an agency, we tend to go for the lower hanging fruit. So the clients that would have the highest potential, and by highest potential, I mean the clients that would have obviously the right product fit, the clients that would have all the licenses, because honestly, I don't want to deal with the headache. As an agency, we don't run affiliate, with very few exceptions. But as an agency, I don't want to deal with the headache of fighting with policy for weeks just to get my product approved. I want to find the product that would have the highest probability of success. So the right product fit. That would be the right fit from the policy standpoint. That would be the right product fit from the demography standpoint. It needs to be the right fit for the traffic source, which is predominantly more senior audiences, 45 plus ish. And finally, someone who would have the right money, because there are different niches, and people start at different levels. Some come with a couple of $100 to test, some come with a couple of hundred. Some are established brands who have 20, 30, 50K to spare for a test. We typically operate in this market. So we go for those who have the funds, who have the right product and tick all the boxes, but simply lack the capacity. But even in this case, you might have to deal with struggles. To give you an example, and I think Frank you both should be familiar with it. Let's say in the US, they changed the legislation related to providing testimonials. So let's say if you're pushing a D2C product, a year ago, you could just have 5 random John Doe's saying that's the best product, it changed my life. Now I have to be careful about making these promises. I can still get away with a couple of things in the EU, or let's say in Latin America or in Asia, but things are changing there as well, and there are other things to keep in mind there. So be very mindful of what you're promoting, how you're promoting it, and if unsure, speak with brilliant account managers and product owners here or there, and make sure that you're fully compliant, because you'll save yourself a lot of headache later in the game.
Let's speak now about the new niches, the new verticals that are coming up. Yes, we have our evergreens, we have like health, we have finance, all the stuff that gets a bit regulated. So this is in the end also a bit of a red ocean, even because it's existing long. It gets a close eye from the from the superior authorities, let's say it. But what are the blue oceans? What are at the moment, emerging verticals and maybe even markets that are a little bit more untapped, maybe even a little bit more unregulated, where you see like a nice growth and potential from all of your sides?
Who wants to take this?
I
You
just
were
wanted
not.
to ask you, do you want
Yeah, come on, Andre.
Sanjay
Then
to
you
start?
you were already on fire with the last point. So
I mean,
now
I can
continue
take it
directly.
if you prefer. I can
Okay,
go
then
first.
Frank, stage
Go.
is
All
yours.
right. Okay. One of the things we've seen, I've seen personally over the years being in this, and we've seen over the last few years that's interesting is that there's heavy markets for the aging population, which is basically like older people, like the seniors, 55 plus and or even 50 plus, and then there is for the what I call the Gen Z specific products. You would have seen a lot of the Gen Z stuff on TikTok, for example. Like TikTok was a really good Gen Z. If you're not familiar with I don't know if you guys are familiar. Gen Z is basically um, anyone that was born from like 19, I would say about
97,
2000
I
and
think.
over. Oh, 97. Yeah, you're right. Yes. I'll try to simplify it, but from 2000 above or 97 and above. So they're younger. They're under 30 mostly, but majority of them are in the low 20s now. And so you would see a lot of like gadgets and such. So if you've seen like a lot of gadgets come up and such, it's because, especially on TikTok, they've been buying it. But this worked itself into also the aging population itself has its own products that's being both financial and health as well. That's just interesting, which is because a lot of compliance rules are there and a lot of laws are there. Also, as far as those two categories of consumers, the market now really has a lot of offers and services for them. The thing is, all these usually is heavy in the US. What your average publisher or affiliate, or in your case, a website owner can do is they can tap into new countries with the same exact model. So they can expand. Basically, a lot of people think, like, I have something that's working good now. Let me think of what other product I can make or promote, but a lot of time what you have already works great. And there's 100 and I don't know, officially there's 195 countries, I believe. That's on paper, but yes, you have all these countries which you can expand to, which you can get processing for expand to. And of course, it depends on what the resources are and where you can expand and what the whole, if you can ship to those countries, and if you can, if you own the product or if you're just an affiliate or such. But basically that's my take. Again, also there could be cross. So we've seen a lot of like gadgets and such come up, and within the gadget category itself, which is really starting to become really big now, there's going to be biohacking, there will be eco-friendly tech gadgets, and these smaller niches are starting to come up. I haven't seen anything take off, but as always, anything can go in any direction. And basically, you have to think progress, future. What does the future market want? Which basically what the Gen Z are. What do they want? So they want a lot of gadgets. In 10 years, they're going to be dominating the market. In another 10, they will be the ones who are making all the purchase decisions. So you can kind of guess from where they are right now and what their buying habits are to kind of guess what you can come up with in the future for them.
What are examples of these gadgets that the people are crazy about from this Gen Z?
Literally this ball thing that hovers, right? I have 3 of them in my own because my kids, they're actually Gen Z demographic, and they're brought into this home. They play with them. Their friends play with them. They love it. They love it. It's simple. It's I don't know how much to pay for, like maybe $30. So it's like it's the important thing is accessible for them because it's an impulsive purchase that takes care of a short-term what I call like a satisfaction. It's like, it's not something expensive. It's cool. It has lights on it. If you add a few lights, LED lights on it. So this, for example, this gadget now, $30. They can play with it. Yes, they'll throw it away, but they'll move on. That's the thing. They'll move on to a new one. That's why the market is so hot. They're not just buying this ball and keeping it as like something to pass down generation to their kid. They'll be in the garbage next week. You know what I mean? Next week, by the time it's in the garbage, they have a new gadget that's coming up. And yeah, an example of this, that's actually a very good example of a gadget that right off top of my head that pops up. Yeah.
It reminds me now on this scene from Pulp Fiction where the guy's coming and visits the son of the friend that was with him in Vietnam and says like, hey, this watch I kept in my ass for like in the Viet Cong was torturing me and I keep it here. And I think now about this LED ball that he was keeping to handing it over. When you said this is not some stuff that is handed down from generation to generation.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the take on that from the others? What are emerging booming markets and verticals that you see?
To be honest,
Right.
you
Go
do
ahead, go
not
ahead.
have to go for a new niche. You can go within the evergreen niche and look for new products or approaches within it. For example, now we have the beginning of the year, so a lot of people are trying to decompress after the New Year's and Christmas, both literally and figuratively. So a lot made, like New Year's resolution to become healthier, happier, stronger, leaner, etc., etc. Why not use this chance and promote? And I'm not only talking about weight loss offers or something like that. There is much more to it. There is exercise, yoga, healthy version of drinks, supplements like ashwagandha, elderberry, matcha tea, etc., etc. So, because actually an interesting fact that according to eMarketeer's report, that even in current inflationary state of environment, people still choose to spend their money on vitamins and supplements rather than celebrating a special event or going for vacation. And that's not talking only about the US, it's globally. So also, Frank touched the Gen Z part of the market. Native is more associated, and Andre also talked about that, with more mature and senior audience. So this should be taken into account when selecting the type of the products to advertise. Also, user flow is very different. So taking the funnel that you see is working on Meta, and that's, I guess, the first where most of the media buyers, advertisers are going. But taking the same funnel and applying it to native would actually be a big mistake. So you have to adapt your funnels and your products to the advertising channel that you're trying to use. That would be my take on it.
One question about this. Please, then Frank, you go first.
What are some good products that are working for the aging population, for the more mature population right now?
Starting with skincare, hair care, bone and joint conditions, more aggressive skin concerns like melanoma, etc., depending on the markets where like we are working, right? Because if we're working with Australia or South America, where is there more sun, obviously that would be the type of the products that would be more relevant to them.
Have you seen anything that would be interesting that's not the same evergreen stuff? Even if it's not completely successful, but shows some kind of success. Is there anything upcoming for this 2025 that you've seen?
Actually, yeah. Yep. In January in the US and MGID, we saw that coupons and discount type of the campaigns and vertical grew really rapidly, and it performed very well for our clients. And there was literally one client that scaled this niche very fast. So that's something to look after. Even though we're past holidays, still people are looking for the discounts and coupons. So that's something to take into consideration as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, now they maybe have to find anyway new coupons after the honey scandal that recently came up here.
Mhm.
I have one quick question. When you say people are trying often out products on Facebook or on Meta advertising, and then they are trying it on native and they should change it, what are the things that they have to change and to adapt at this usually? What are typical mistakes that they would make if they would just take the funnel and everything one-to-one?
Good question.
as I mentioned, the user flow is different. How is different? The user who sees the native ad is in the state of reading the content. Showing him a banner and leading directly to the checkout page or to the e-commerce page where he directly buys the product would not work, because you basically interrupt his user journey. You have to follow up with a story because he is in the state of reading. So that's basically why we say that native advertising is intertwined with content marketing as well. You need to warm up the user, you need to tell compelling story, or give a quiz to play, or make sure to prepare some interactive pre-lander before serving the offer. Whereas with Meta, you can go directly, and because like he's basically scrolling, mindlessly scrolling usually, so it's fine to pop up the bright image with a discount on top of it and make them purchase straight away.
I still get the Christmas discounts for some stuff. For wall Pilates. I don't know why, but I get a lot of advertising for wall Pilates and how to become a muse and find a guy to marry me.
Accepted. The algorithms know better.
I don't know on what I was clicking. Maybe I should stop clicking on all these yoga girls. And
maybe.
I click maybe so much on it that they think I'm a girl and I really want to learn yoga. Andrew, how is it in the agency business? Are there some types of advertisers, or most probably call them clients, that are booming and have more requests or throwing more budget at you? What do you see there?
I view things a little, and I suppose we view things a little bit differently. So I'll address 2 points. Point number one, about the generation. I agree that the products you're promoting on native, they should appeal to a certain generation, but at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily tie it to a generation. I would tie it to behavior patterns and age, because certain habits you only develop with age, and certain products are only suitable for people who reach certain element of certain state of maturity. Most cases, this relates to either life conditions or the financial stability. So, for instance, there is no point trying to sell, a solar panel to a Gen Z or, to this particular age group, because it likely don't own a house. Or let's say if you want to sell a joint cream to someone who is young, in this case, I would say it has nothing to do with the particular. I'm relatively young. I do get rare joints pain, especially after the gym. But for instance, like it's not something that's prominent or continuous. So I would say it doesn't necessarily relate to the generation, whatever we decide to call it, because for instance, Gen Alpha, in our perspective, it behaves completely different, and Gen Beta, which apparently is just being born, will probably behave differently again. So what we rather focus is the pain points of a particular demography. And on native, as Yulia said, you need to promote in a very specific way because of the type of placements that you deal with on native. And usually we follow the particular framework, which is called problem, agitate, solution. So problem is your banner, you're trying to intrigue. Then you have the agitate stage, which is usually advertorial that tells a good story. Because remember, you're dealing with cold traffic. Cold traffic needs to be warmed up. You need to convince the person to explore your product and consider buying it. And once this consideration part has passed, this is where the solution comes in. You say, well, the solution is available for you just here and just today at a very nice discount. You can buy it here, and if you buy in bulk, there's even more discount. So we're looking at the program. We're looking at the products, regardless of what products we're talking about. Which niche vertical that can be sold as the existential solution, something they need right here, right now, and that solves an immediate need of a very particular age group. So as an agency, we're trying to find the products that would fit this description. Now, in terms of the potential, in terms of what's going to be good on native in 2025, I would say products are very cyclical. Search arbitrage was good in 2019, then it was not good in 21. Then it was good for 2 years, and suddenly in 24 it's not working, and in 25 people are like, where's our stock? Where's our stock? That's the only thing that's working. Or, Nutro used to be huge, and then Nutro was banned, and then Nutro is back, and then VSLs came in, and then VSLs stopped working, and then everyone started doing their own brand, which is no longer Nutro, but a health supplement, but it's still a Nutro. It's just, it's got its licenses and it looks shinier. And the same with gadgets, I would say. I agree that there are certain behavior patterns that indicate that different age groups would like the gadgets, but I would rather say is what really matters is the compelling story. If you have the right product and you come up with the right story, you can sell anything on native. And look at Google. Google has more than 1 million. Again, maybe I'm wrong, and if anyone from Google ever listens to this, please do reach out. I'm curious to know the actual numbers. But the numbers that are publicly available is that there are more than 1 million active advertisers using Google Ads, whether it's search or display. Now, I don't know how many were active on MGID or are active on MGID. I can tell you that on Taboola, there's never been a case of 1 million advertisers being live simultaneously. It's just simply not the case, and it's not something that was ever available on the marketing collateral. Again, maybe I'm wrong right now, but not when I was there. So what this means? This means there's a shit ton of advertisers, D2C brand owners that are not using native. They're using Google because they think that's the ultimate answer, or they're using Meta and they think, oh, okay, Meta reaches 3 billion people on a monthly basis. That means this is the place to go to. First of all, are you sure there's 3 actual living billion people on a monthly basis? Keeping in mind that how many people farm accounts for gambling. I'm not too sure. With native, you at least know, like say with MJD, back in the days, you guys used to have IDs for widgets. Now you have actual publisher names. So I know what I'm buying. Do I know what I'm buying on Meta? Do I know what I'm buying on Google? No, but I do know what I'm buying on MJD. So I have the transparency on native, and I have the actual data about how much traffic is available on every single publisher. Use SimilarWeb and you'll find this information. So the idea is to go to all the big brands out there who are not using all these millions of D2C brands who are not spending on native and say, guys, you've been putting too much trust into just 2 platforms. You should at least consider diversifying to the 3rd one.
I want to ask a question here. And it's again, maybe a bit of a simple question, but most probably not everybody watching this roundtable is already an expert in this field. When I'm seeing native ads or Facebook and Google, I'm not looking at it like before I was in this industry. Some of that was not even existing at this time. But I don't see there really local stuff happening. Also, when I opened my restaurants and all these agencies were knocking on my door, and I had the restaurants open until 2021. So this is a time when all of these ad formats were already existing. Native was there, Meta was there. I think it was even called Meta already, and
In
Google was already
2011?
after.
Wait, 2011
2021.
21, sorry, I heard 11.
I said 11.
21
I think I said first I said 2001, then 2011, but this was 2021. But it feels like an eternity, and it's a shitty chapter of my life. But at least it gives me now a good question to ask you. So, are there agencies, or is this even a topic in general for local players that have something like a brick and mortar business to work on native as well? Or is it something that is still considered to sell something first online? I mean, it can be still a physical good, like maybe a lead gen for a car and people are walking in the shop, but really like the restaurant or a clothing shop that is just in a city. Is this a topic on native or not? Because the targeting options must be here.
I'll very quickly jump in and take the initiative here. I will say yes. And I think, first of all, native is becoming more and more available. More people are exposed to what native ads is, what we're doing here, in fact, bringing brand awareness. Secondly, with the introduction of AI, even the people who, let's say, own a nice restaurant and have no idea how marketing works, they will find it increasingly easier to start buying native because a lot of things are automated, like copywriting, design. It's not necessarily to the same standard, at least at this stage, as when a real life professional does it. But at the same time, the entry barrier is much lower. So it's going to be a lot easier for all the brands, even those who are, let's say, brick and mortar ones, to enter the game. Secondly, with more premium inventory coming in and with the technology improving, it's much easier for them to succeed with reaching their KPIs. And finally, I believe there are a lot more agencies out there that operate not necessarily on a higher level, on a lower level, but also at the, let's say, middle level, but also at the lower level, who would specialize in supporting these small brands with smaller budgets, but big aspirations. We're in fact started working with one, and again, it's a one-woman show, but she does a fantastic job with a couple of really small female-centric brands. And she may not necessarily be boasting millions of dollars of ad spend, but she is doing God's work, promoting all the small brands that were otherwise not be present in the digital world.
I have to confess that when I wanted to sell more of my books, I was, of course, looking first at Google, then at Meta, and I was not even considering it for native. So I'm sorry to say that, but also for me, being in this field, I was looking at it. I was not even looking at it and considering it. I was thinking about with who I can make like some content, who I maybe can get like a sponsored newsletter or a barter deal, but I was not considering native for it.
Sorry, there's a very key difference here between like Google and native. Google is intentional and native is not. Like Google, if you go search for anything, you search for like yellow chair, your intention is a yellow chair, meaning you're looking for a yellow chair. Any ad that comes up is geared to your intention. On native, you don't have an intention, but you're just reading an article or doing, so you have no intention of a yellow chair. But if the article happened to be something that will bring up a yellow chair, you might think, oh, maybe I want a yellow chair. That yellow chair is just an example. It's not, it's not that saying that, yellow chair itself, would sell any differently. But the point is, one is intention with intention. User has intent, and the user doesn't have intent. So that itself is a huge difference between the two.
It's actually the reason why we are here, why I'm here talking about native, why Andrei talks about native so much, to educate the audience about the other ad formats that are available apart from Google and Meta, and two, for you to understand how important those small and medium businesses are for ad networks. When I joined MGID, my first task was go in specifically Romania. My target market was Romania, and go and look for small and medium businesses like restaurants, tourist agencies, clothing shops. Yes, they would need to sell online because like that's what is our key point, that we can make everything trackable and we can track every specific targeted action and all the sales that are traffic generated. But yes, that would definitely be something that on our site we are interested into investing. And also, as being said, with more and more premium publishers making their compliance policy more strict, it's the easiest way to get in, because you're not a nutraceutical brand that has to modify their policy. It's a valid business that is not questionable. So why not?
Great point.
Okay, then we speak in the next question about the ad formats of the future. I had here a small list already provided by you, of course, by you three guys. This is interactive quizzes, augmented reality ads, story-driven placements, and for sure, since we wrote down this list, it took us a while to find the day to film this, something new came up. So what are the ad formats of the future from today, 16 January point of view?
I think we should start with Yulia again.
Yeah,
She
I
has
would
more
also say
access.
so.
Well, actually, MGID is essentially a traffic source, so we are mainly responsible for distribution of the ads. So here, what I can add is that how we can help the advertisers with the different ad formats is that, as I mentioned, we have local offices everywhere. So we can help to adopt the strategies and funnels to resonate with the local audiences. And on top of that, our clients can take advantage of our adjusted ecosystem for creative management. That's how our marketing team called it all, to basically personalize the creatives for even better performance. So in essence, we do have integrated Gen AI tools that are based on the historical data in our platform regarding the performance of the specific creatives, placements, and verticals, to make sure that the affiliates, media buyers, advertisers in general can get their creatives fast with the predictive performance. But when it comes to interactive quizzes, augmented reality ads, and things like that, this is more on the client side of the business. We do help to prepare, but our core business lies within native ad itself, whether it's static or how do you say that? Or animated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Animated.
How
I mean,
the
I can go on. With augmented reality, it hasn't taken off. There's a few companies that are trying to really make augmented reality take off, but I think it's going to take a couple more pushes until everyone sits on their, like, has glasses or something equivalent where they surf the web or just work on their phone using an augmented reality. It'll eventually become a thing. And on native, a lot of the products, basically what I'm saying, a lot of products are just physical products being pushed, which means, for example, like I've seen shoes on native being pushed. Like this was a big campaign. So with augmented reality, it would be cool if once augmented reality becomes more mainstream, for example, with this can only work also with native. In my belief is that when a user is surfing the website and they can basically see the product basically turning or something similar. How now I see some smart marketers when they in their creatives already using animation to try. There's some animation tricks where from your perception as a human, as a user, looking at it might seem 3D, but it's not. You know, it's a good attempt. It's definitely unique, but you can even see that the desire and the demand for such a presentation is there. It's just not possible with the medium we have. The medium we have is flat. It's just a screen. Yes, we can see, but can't see it in real life, right? So augmented reality can help with that. It's not nothing that we can be done now. You know, it's definitely an idea for the future. Another thing, native, that I was thinking about actually randomly is that, you know, these voice assistant things when you talk to it and it talks back and you do a lot of things. Again, you know, I haven't seen this out there, but you could insert sponsored content within the voice assistant. You could also make commands that are brandable commands. Of course, you know, that's for bigger corporations. You can, you know, how do you say Alexa? You could have a specific word that it's brandable for a brand. But for lesser, of course, you know, not every company can brand one, but you could, for you specifically, like for native, a native company can look into how we can buy ads within the voice assistant content. It could, a couple ideas that came to me was like when they are recommending, like if you say what stores I can go to or where can I buy like a yellow jacket or where can I buy a red jacket, it could direct you to sponsored websites as opposed to organic only. You know, you know, the first person that's going to come up with this is going to make a lot of money off of it. If it doesn't exist yet. I don't know, actually, no.
You came up now with it. Oh.
I don't have the resource. I will not have the resource in this lifetime to pull it off. So it's out there. Whoever wants to make it, I'll keep my eye out. You know, I'll be the first to let publishers know, hey, this is also a new opportunity for you. Now, you know, you can definitely, because I think people, you know, ad fatigue. You know, a lot of people talk about ad fatigue. You've heard it, ad fatigue, but people only think of ad fatigue within like their own creatives, and there's ad fatigue about the medium of the ad too. Like everyone's now fatigued to banner ads. That's why we have native. That's why we have this, because banner ads I don't even know if anyone even buy banner ads anymore. You know, if I know they buy it, I don't know if it's effective. I think it's a waste of money for most people. But you know, the mediums, even with native, you know, like Andrew had a good point about storytelling, and storytelling, you know, it still works, but someday it's not going to work anymore. You know, it's just it's gonna be fatigued. People going to be tired of this. You can only tell the same story so many times. So that was my take on the future of ad
I
formats.
really want to jump in here,
Yeah.
about storytelling. I'll start by being a little bit lyrical, and then eventually I'll move on to being rational. I feel like storytelling has always existed, and it will always prevail, and will always continue existing. Maybe the formats will change a little,
Yeah.
but I feel like the very first storytelling element was, and sorry for being overly lyrical, but the first storytelling element is, you know, people drawing in the caves because they were trying to tell the story. If we
True.
apply marketing, the very first storytelling element was someone putting a sign outside their house saying meat or fish. This is storytelling. Not necessarily very elaborate, but that's the very
Yeah.
first time someone thought, hey, how about I promote what I'm selling and tell a little story? And also, you know, if I come to you, Frank, and I say, would you like to buy an iPhone from me? And you'll be like, I mean, I just met you. I mean, sure, we've worked a little bit together, but you know, why should I buy an iPhone from you? But what if I come and say, you know what, this is the fastest and the latest model, and I'm gonna give it to you, you know, very cheaply. And you know, in fact, this phone was used by Brad Pitt, whatever. I'm just making shit up, just to prove a point that if there is some associated sentiment, it's much easier to sell something, especially if we're dealing with cold traffic. This is why I think the storytelling element is very, very important. But I do agree completely with you that the format is going to change. Now, about the changed formats. On the advertiser side, I think it's going to be driven by the hype and the habits of each new generation. You know, a couple of years ago, we never cared about watching short videos, and now we catch ourselves in the middle of the night scrolling like this. I mean, I do occasionally, guilty. I assume a lot of people do as well. Now, on the publisher side, and I think it's very important as well, because the traffic source is a publisher in most of the case, publisher first companies. You can't sell unless you have the inventory. You can always find advertisers. There's infinite number of advertisers. But with publishers, digital properties, inventory, it's limited, especially if you're operating the exclusive business. Now, here, I think two things are going to happen. Native advertising traffic sources are very conservative because, again, the margins are relatively thin, because you have to give part of the money to the publishers themselves because you don't own the inventory. So you have to be very careful. And you have to, A, look for ways to generate more money, and two, create stickiness. So, you know, the exclusivity stays. So regarding making more money, an example could be moving from fixed widgets that some companies are using to feeds, because feeds equal more impressions. If it's a fixed number, you can only feed so many advertisers. If it's infinite feed going down, more impressions, you can sell more. The second thing that can happen is carousels. How many can you feed in a widget? 2, 3, 4. What if it's a carousel? Infinite impressions. Infinite by infinite, that's a lot of impressions you can sell. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. Secondly, companies will start offering increasingly more additional products to create stickiness, whether it's AI, whether it's some sort of research tools, whether it's their own DSPs, or let's say, you know, their own, and talking about the publisher side, their own news aggregates. Again, not gonna point any fingers, but just saying that that's one of the ways to create stickiness, because if you decide to shift from one traffic monetization partner to another one, it would be an increasingly more significant. There will be more costs associated with it, because you'll not be just dropping revenue, you'll be dropping all these goodies and all this additional traffic and all this, you know, cool technology. So there'll be more stickiness and there'll be more revenue opportunities, but probably they're going to be relatively conservative because no one wants, a massive change. It's very difficult to sell a massive change to the publishers that are somewhat conservative.
Good insight.
A lot of about technology and development, and we are coming in the next question to something that actually was quite in the beginning. Frank picked already up the AI topic a little bit, and how it's a good opportunity to train like this virtual lawyer, let's say. I don't want to go now too much into the AI for ad creation and so on, what a lot of people are doing. I want to speak with you about personalization of content. And this is something that I encountered the first time, I think 1.5 years ago in Cyprus. I met there a girl, an entrepreneur, and she developed a technology for iGaming companies that are practically giving like a super individual experience for all the people that are already in the gambling app. Let's say it is app-based at the moment. How you see the personalization happening on offer level, of landing page level, on creative level, what is already possible, and what are your predictions for 2025 and maybe above it? I spoke about it also in the Affiliate Manager Academy, because I think this is really like a super crazy thing that we all have coming up.
If I may start, just a tool that is already available in MGID, we actually came up with the help of the AI with the CTR guard. Mainly, it was to tackle the issue of banner blindness. And in essence, this CTR guard monitors the campaigns and ads for signs of ad fatigue and recommends advertiser when it's best to update the ads, suggesting alternatives that are being able to use. So if you're the advertiser and we are able to see that your CTR of the ads dropped 15% within the last 3-day period, you're going to receive the email report saying this and this. And at the same time, using the AI, we will generate 3 fresh alternatives to the creatives and headlines and call to action that are ready to be used and don't need to be moderated. In this way, we hope that we save the time of the advertiser and increase the CTR, which like effectively will improve the overall campaign ROAS. So that's something that we have implemented last year and are releasing like by the end to all of our clients at the end of this quarter.
Very cool.
Stefan, your face is like, are you processing the information?
It looks like it.
I can jump in here.
No,
at
first I hear a baby crying and I try to find out if it's here, my neighbor, or somebody who has a small one like 2 rooms aside. It's also that, Yulia, what you are doing with the banner fatigue. I invested a bit in a software company. It's like for affiliate network management. And there is like also a feature like this. It's actually not when the banner conversion rate is going down, because it's not tracking it automatically in an affiliate network or program, but it also gives you updates when we think it's time to update the creatives, when you have not provided banners or landing pages or email templates or whatever since a while. So it also reminds you on that. So it gives me some memories. But this is not really about a personalization. So what you see happening where it's really like altering the landing pages or the product even, or the creative at all, based on user behavior, on a user fingerprint, on something like prediction models, that it says like, this guy is coming with an iPhone over Orange in the middle of the night from this and this city. And that's why we have to show to this guy, I don't know, the gadget in blue and not in red, because we know based on big data, this is blue. This is, for example, something I see now on iGaming companies happening. And maybe you see something like this already happening in native in your field also.
Within native, that would be contextual targeting that would come as close to what you're saying, that we can track in which context is the user, what he's reading, what is the sentiment of the article that he is reading, what it is about, and serve the ad that matches the sentiment and the context that the user is in.
Frank, you wanted to add something, I believe.
I just want to say strategy that publishers use and website owners use that I've seen they do is that they A/B test a lot, split test a lot. Previously, A/B testing was done a lot by opinion. Basically, my opinion is that maybe this button should be red, and I'll split red versus green. With the introduction of AI into our life, now the split tests are happening, but the AI chooses what to test, and based on the test result, chooses what to test next. This can help publishers and owners have a more managed, a more goal-oriented testing as opposed to randomness and opinion-based testing. That's all. That's all I want to add there.
You have maybe even a name from one of these tools for the people there, or they should contact you maybe and you give that out, or it's like...
No, it's not a tool. They just use AI, like ChatGPT. You can just use ChatGPT or similar to even like, because you can build like agents in ChatGPT. Like you can build an agent, a prompt for an agent that says, I'm split testing campaigns. This is this. You can fill out the vertical, this and that, and give it all the metrics, give it all the things that it's looking for. Like you even feed it the whole landing page, the whole HTML, like the whole HTML CSS of the landing page, and say, give me you can do it right now after this call. You can be like, hey, suggest a headline for me to test, or suggest something I should test in this page, and it could suggest you something to test. And you could also, and then you can say, so you test this, and then you go back to the agent and you say, well, it might test when you suggested for me that I should test a red button, and I already had a blue button. My test showed that the red button this much CTR and the blue button this much CTR, and ask it, what do you think I should do next? And so I'm just giving you a very simplified version of this. Of course, you can go outside of ChatGPT. There's tons of AI tools. There's people who build their own, like, that's not something we're going to touch on in this call, but there are definitely publishers out there on a huge scale where they've built their own ChatGPT kind of thing, their own model. They don't even have to rely on anything else. Of course, they have a lot of money behind it. They've built it. I assume I haven't seen with my own eyes, but I know there are people out there that are even managing entire campaigns using AI. Basically, they've built their own systems. You cannot go buy, you cannot go subscribe. It's their own system, their own coders, everything that even logging into native platform, like we'll log into Taboola and we'll create a new campaign and we'll insert the landing page, everything, will create everything. There's no human interactions there, and it will do it, and then we'll go back to the campaign and it will analyze what's working. We'll turn off the ones that's not working, turn on, and based on that, create new campaigns. There's, of course, I'm not even saying even 1%. We're talking about maybe 1% of 1% are almost at that level now with AI.
Andre, how are you using AI, and where you see the future of AI when it comes to native, or maybe even the entire online marketing industry?
I actually agree with most of the points. I would say at this stage. So, I mean, right now we're producing content ourselves. So we have a very talented group of copywriters. Mostly located in Germany, but we have some partners from all over the world. We're producing copy manually. The reason for this is because we've used ChatGPT, we've used Gemini, we've created, in fact, some other ones. We've created our own tool, which essentially draws inspiration from the top 200 best performing landing pages we've ever created. But the issue is, right now, as it stems from the name, it's machine learning. So a machine learns from previous experiences, disassembles and rearranges it. It's not creativity, it's reassembling. And this is why in 9.99% of the cases, our copywriters, or let's say our landing pages, which are handcrafted by copywriters and designers and media buyers, have outcompeted AI. Now, this will likely change. Maybe not next month, maybe not next year. I don't know. Right now, it's very hard to predict because, let's say, it took the internet, 26 years, whatever, to be in every single home, whatever the number is. Several years, quite a few. Then it took, TikTok, 2-3 years to reach 1 billion users. Again, numbers are arbitrary, but what matters is that there's the speed at which the development happens, it intensifies. Now, with ChatGPT, I think it's like the fastest growing business in terms of the reach and adoption ever. So I would naturally assume that it will become smarter and smarter the more people feed it the data and feed the queries. So it might happen like in a year or two or even faster, and especially once AGI happens, we will reach the point where the machine could actually be creative. And this is when you would need to start thinking about, okay, are we going to rely on the copywriters? Are we going to have them as the managers of the tool, someone who uses it to be more efficient? Or are we talking about a complete replacement? I'm trying to be optimistic, so no. But at this stage, I would say AI should be a research tool because it's very important not just to mindlessly take an offer and just try to copy someone. If someone's promoting in the US and they're promoting VSL, I should do as well. No, do the research. Understand what are the pain points of a particular demography in a particular country. And maybe you'll find out they don't need Nutra. Maybe they'll find out, my favorite example, I'm in the UK, so I tend to complain about the weather. Let's say in the UK, there's a problem with the insulation. So it's very cold. It's freaking cold. Like in the morning, I wake up, it's 13 degrees in my apartment, unless I, warm it up the whole night. And now I live in a new build. No insulation. So a lot of people need insulation, and there's a government insulation act where they're technically supposed to sponsor the full insulation of your house, meaning there are a lot of companies offering it. That means there's a lot of ongoing lead gen. That means you may need to, consider lead gen versus Nutra. I'm not saying you shouldn't run Nutra. I'm just saying there are options out there. So use AI to research.
You can say vitamins because if it's cold, you say, hey, buy this Nutra because buy the supplements, then you're not getting the cold.
There you go. Or
actually, what Andre said is
vitamin
correct.
D.
And that's actually where I think we pivot into creating ethical ads because, yes, correct. Using AI has to be done as a research tool and not as a finalized. Like you should never accept the final outcome of an AI. And this is actually a very good thing because a lot of a lot of publishers are creating ads and creatives and landing paging using AI. It's out there. I can see them with my eyes and I can detect what's written and not written with AI. One of the giveaways is the N and M dash is the long dash because before AI, no one used them. After AI, everyone used them. So if you see that, if you see that in anyone's writing, you can tell that's AI. Because anyway, so basically a lot used, but a lot of them just take what AI said and put out there, which brings us back to the point of compliance and unethical advertising. Because the AI is just going to give you some very unethical things. And this is where people can do ethical advertising. It's basically in advertising, ethical advertising is very important. The reason it's important is because advertising itself gets a bad reputation for most people. It's like advertising, trying to sell me something. I don't need it. They're trying to sell it to me. But ethical advertising can be done. There are strategies that can be used as opposed to what I would call the cheap shot or cheap ways of scare tactics or like fear of losing out tactics. There are other tactics that can be used that I will call it civil, not barbarian. I will call the old tactics barbarians, like saying something is free and science actual fee is barbarian. Saying this offer is going to end in like 12 hours is barbarian. But there are more ethical, civil ways of going about it. For example, consistency. If you consistent about the message, about a creative, about a landing page, and the same point repeated 5 times, that is actually a way, it's a psychological way, and it's ethical to go about where you can sell something. It is something, as opposed to using like any of the other tactics said. Or there's also mutual benefits. So like touching on mutual benefits of like without going into too much detail. So these are psychological things, and you can incorporate. One of the other thing is real testimonials, not what they call, like, I know user generated content is getting in this. It's also, again, now it's getting a bad reputation immediately. It wasn't even around for that long, but using real testimonials, real reviews, and real user generated reviews, not just a user generated review that can be used in any context, but an actual user generated review for this exact product. These are also ethical ways to get the product and being upfront about the pricing. So instead of wanting to make a little bit more money, you just make a little bit less money, but you're more ethical about it. Instead of saying this product, it only costs $20, but then in a little asterisk says, but it will also cost you $80 more for whatever reason. No, just this product's only going to cost $20. It should also be upfront. I think in all advertising should be upfront. It will make everyone's life even easier. I think the users will like it if the pricing was always upfront anyway. Like, not upfront meaning in the creative, but upfront when you come to the website and you want to buy something, you kind of want to know what the price is. You don't want to read and go through a whole thing, So putting a price a little bit early on, working it into storytelling, like you said, like storytelling, or working in any other way, actually works pretty well. And this is also another place, like storytelling. A lot of storytelling, from what I've seen from websites, is also made with AI. It's like it's not even their story. It's a create, or not even written by AI. Like you said, a copywriter will come up with their own story that might not be completely true. Some of it might be fiction, some of it might be made up. But overall, ethical advertising definitely is where most publishing websites ought to be. It's different from a resistible ad. You can still be resistible, but you don't need to be unethical about it.
I want to argue with you, Frank, regarding the
Go ahead.
less money, because I don't think it's being ethical for the sake of being ethical. It's actually
Okay.
at the end, what we see on our side, it will improve the conversion rates of the advertisers for the simple reason. For example, we had the case where our media buyers used over-promising in their headlines, and they were blocked from most of the top premium publishers just because on our side, we have to mark the over-promising in the headline internally. And the publisher has a full right to block the advertisers who are using that in their ad approaches. Therefore, just rephrasing the headline and being more ethical, not like saying that you're gonna, lose your weight in 6 weeks after using the product, but saying that there might be consequences, this may happen or not, like putting it under a question mark because it's not guaranteed. We cannot guarantee anything with our advertising. Just simply rephrasing that allowed the advertiser to get to the premium inventory where the conversion rate is higher just because the quality of user is better. So it's not always the case of losing money. Sometimes it's about winning. You just have to be smart about your choices.
Correct. Yeah.
I was now having the idea of making an ad for weight loss, and as a warning, I write, hey, you want to lose 5 kilos in 6 weeks, and then warning, warning, warning. If you don't use it correctly, you will lose 15 kilos. So that would maybe convince even people more, but then it's most probably not ethical anymore.
And also
No,
to
I'm not
retouch
gonna
on
get
what Andre said. Sorry, you can go.
No, sorry, just was commenting.
Well, I just want to retouch on what Andrew said about copywriting. He's actually very right. And the fact that to sell something, and what you also said, to sell something and not do it in unethically or not lose money or any other way, but still make money, still be ethical, it's difficult. It's a skill. Not everyone has this skill, but you can acquire it. And you can read a lot of books on copywriting. Or you can just go to Andre, for example, because he's right. Him and his people have read a lot of these resources. They know a lot, right? They know a lot of, but you can also you can sit there for weeks. I've done it. I've read a lot of books on copywriting, a lot of books about psychology of consumers, but a lot of these things. I don't put it to use right now, but I do give advice to people. I try, but that's basically it. You can do it ethically, but it's hard work, and not hard work, it's smart work, but you have to think a lot. It's you have to put your brain to a lot of use. You can't just take the first thought that comes into your head. The first thought is always the easiest. You have to explore thoughts. You have to sit there. You have to draw things on paper, like write, even use pen and paper and go over. You want to make an ad that's going to sell. You're going to invest money into it. It shouldn't be the first thought, the easiest thought that pops into your head, right? Exactly.
Yep, you want to make your call to action sound edgy, but at the same time, you don't want to cross any lines.
Yes.
Okay, now we found a campaign that is working, that is ethical, that is approved. There's also inventory at the product side to ship it. So what are your favorite tactics for scaling campaigns in a way that it's also keeping the performance high? Because this is something that I had to learn the hard way when I tried some media buying for educational reasons. I was going to a media buyers and I was saying like, yeah, send more traffic, it's working super good for you, for us, and so on. So the moment they are starting to scale, it's getting problematic. And this was something that I had to experience myself. To go into green numbers is like super easy, but to go into green numbers that you can live from that is already like a super big chat. It's already a super big challenge. So
No, all good. We could keep hearing.
Yeah. So what are tactics to scale and also stay in green or even get greener?
I can start with some basic advice from the traffic source point of view, and then Andrei can give his opinion from agency side. On our side, especially for those who haven't worked with native before, like there are some evergreen rules. Number one is you have to split desktop and mobile for A/B test. Like that's something that I still have to tell to a lot of the clients, which we think is super basic, but for those who are coming from different background, especially social, that can be weird, but the optimization logic will be different for desktop devices and mobile devices. So you have to do that in order to scale further. Don't expect from native to perform for you with one campaign and one crowd. Like this is impossible, which might happen in Meta actually, but the more campaigns in our case, the better. So you can A/B test not only just the images or the offers, but also the funnels, the like advertorials that you're using, the different messaging that you're trying to trigger the audience with, separated in different campaigns, and then see how that would perform on scale. So increase the number of the campaigns and creatives. Recently, we had the case where the client knew how to work with native, not specifically with MGID, and he had issues scaling. And when we looked deeper into that with the team of account managers, there was one crucial mistake that he was making. Once his CPA was like higher than the target one, he paused the campaigns. So never pause the campaigns, rather decrease the CPC, because by pausing it, you stop yourself in the algo, and then once restarting, you have to bid again and get back to your place where it was. So if you see that the performance is not there, but you want to give it a try, just decrease the CPC, make your edits, and then bring it back, but do not pause because you're basically killing them. And the fifth, I was counting all of these advices. The fifth one is what we see is happening on MGID is once the CTR of the ad is lower than 0.5, 0.7, and it's not getting higher, do not waste your time on that. Just change it, adjust the combination of the creo and headline, play around with it, but we would not recommend spending too much time on that, and just try to find the one that gives you better performance in terms of the CTR. And last not least, but the most crucial one, which is also very basic for us, but we see most of the clients ignore, is staying in good touch with account managers. Like that's, I mean, the golden
Probably the most
rule.
important one, I would say.
Is this your way to say like, hey, when you see me on the conference, invite me for a cocktail?
No, I'm not account
You
manager,
will-
so that's not that.
But you can go to the account manager and say like, hey,
Yeah, no. Mainly why? Account managers are talking directly with analytics team, with the creative team, with inside account managers. They know what works, what doesn't work. They have those regular stand-up meetings where we discuss things internally, and they are there to help like actually optimize the campaigns, because I cannot even tell you when I had cases when the people came to me and they were like, yeah, we worked with you, but it didn't work. I'm like, who were your account manager? What was the issue? We're like, no, but we were on self-serve. We just spent $500 and really it was shit. And I'm like, well, to be honest, that's not the approach to go with native ads. You need to have more considerable budget for the starts, and once you have it, you will be having the access to account manager who will be there to make sure that you launch campaign properly from the start and you avoid making basic mistakes.
I think having a professional network is the single best asset one could have. Knowing the right people in general.
Yep.
Like it beats everything. And to apply it to what you said, having the right sales/consultant contact at MGID helps massively. Having the right account management/consulting contact at MGID is going to be life-changing. So for sure, develop the right relationships. And if you don't trust the people on this call, think in very simple terms. Everyone gets commission. Like it's in everyone's best interest to make sure that, if you're a brand owner, that you scale. Because if you don't scale, there's no commission. What was the point, getting on the call? Sure, if you're friends, yes, but if you're not friends, and in 99 cases, it's not the friendship. It's
Even with friends, let's be honest.
Yeah, even with friends, I would very much prefer a friend who pays the bill versus the friend who runs away without doing it. So yeah, it's a very simple logic. You scale, they scale. They make more money. So it's in everyone's best interest to give you the best advice. Although I have to add that, it's totally normal for account managers not necessarily to have, or salespeople as well, to have the right skill set for 100% of the cases, right? It's okay. Someone comes from a D2C environment and background, they would naturally know more. Someone comes from lead generation. Someone used to sell a SaaS tool. They used to sell Salesforce. So they're excellent salespeople with fantastic ethics, but close to zero understanding on how native works. So it would take them time to understand, which is also fine. So I suppose, it's very important to set the right expectations from the very beginning and explain what you do, what you can deliver, and what would be the best way to support your aspirations and support your growth. But just sort of quickly in terms of, again, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of media buying. There's so many advice one could give, and at the same time, there are different schools of thought. Some people do this, some people do that, and it just would create a lot of contradiction. What I would suggest doing is at the very initial stages, if you're just launching, care about LPCTR. That's the single most important key performance indicator. If your LPCTR, so the percentage of the people who click from the editorial to the selling page is below 15%, bye-bye. Honestly, there's no point. Work on getting your story straight first. Once you're above the sweet spot, you can move on to improving your VCPMs, namely making sure that you're on the right publishers. By right publishers, I mean the biggest ones, the most premium ones, the ones that have the most traffic, the key publishers every traffic source would tell you need to be on. Once you have the right story, once you have the right inventory, this is where you move on from the LPCTRs and the VCPMs to getting your CPA straight. And this is where you can employ different tactics and make sure that you're staying within this sweet range. But my advice here would be, again, not worry about the CPA too much at the initial stages and at the later stages. At the initial stages, collect the data, make data-driven decisions. At the later stages, and that's like one of the native's best kept secrets, the only thing that truly matters is ROAS And ROAS can be return on ad spend. It can be derived not from the immediate sale, but from the LTV that your user brings. Because let's say you sell an iPhone, but with an iPhone, you can sell earphones, you can sell watch, you can sell the laptop, which I'm calling from right now. All these upsells can be attributed to the initial sale. And if you measure the attribution, if you measure the impact that the initial sale is making, and then most importantly, if you're measuring the impact the native is making all your other traffic sources like Amazon and other ones, you'll see that native is making such a profound impact on your revenue that switching it off is just ridiculous. It's not just the one sale that is generating that, making you break even or make small profit. No, it's impacting your whole strategy because it's touch basing with your user at the initial stage of the sales funnel, but it stays with the user throughout the whole journey.
All right, I'll jump in here and add a little bit to build on both of yours. You both made very good points here. And to just take it over, specifically in our case, we have a lot of publishers who do native and they're dealing with high CPA, meaning in order for them to get action, it's going to be anywhere from $50 to $150, with an average of $100 or $110 being common. The problem with this is that these high CPA what I call them high CPA campaigns generally need a lot of data for proper optimization because it's just a slow data collection. It means it takes longer to get the information you need. So in a lot of cases, you're being told by your native account manager you need to spend more, obviously, because affiliates are often told like they need to spend like, for example, $1,000 per day to get enough data to optimize. But this can feel very frustrating, and these ad reps can get bad reputation because they just want you to spend more, right? Which is, like you said, yes, everyone wants to make commission, but it's not that they want to make money. It's the truth. The truth is that data costs money. Data collection is an investment. You're investing in data. When you're spending up front, it's helping you optimize and save money later. Basically, like that's how you're looking at it. You're looking at it as an upfront investment where this investment later on will help you optimize better and will actually save you money rather than keep burning money, right? So, but there's a disconnect here. And here's the disconnect from my point of view from watching native so many years and dealing with people that spend anywhere from a few dollars a day. I know people spend millions, not a day, just they spend millions in native, and they all have pretty much about the same kind of thing, like our reps always want us to spend more of this, but the ones who understand that data costs money, they understand what's going on. Now, here's where the disconnect is, where you said not a lot of people, there's a lot more people doing Google ads, what? Not many people doing native. Okay. Problem with native is that when you come in, there's some kind of high cost because it's not intent traffic. You're not targeting intent traffic. There's a little bit of high cost, and it's hard for many affiliates to test and optimize efficiently and effectively, right? The ones that make it, the publishers that make it, and the website owners that make it, they invest time and resources to master the detailed settings, the targeting settings, and what we call whitelisting, like how you get whitelisting of certain things. Okay. The thing is, this knowledge is hard earned and it does set them apart. But once it's hard earned and sets them apart, they stay in the system, but it doesn't allow anyone else to come in. And what it doesn't allow that many people to come in. That's just where while spending money, like in MGID's case, where yes, spending money, you have to spend money to get it. Like without spending money, how are you going to know where is it going to optimize, right? Like that's just the math doesn't add up. You have to spend money, but you can help. You can help. Like you can go to Andre, he will help you, or you can go to Yulia or one of her account managers and be like, hey, I have a high CPA campaign. Like I'm not dealing with CPA. I'm not dealing with $5 per action. I have $100 per action here, and help me get a good start. And this is where the barrier to entry can become lower. And this is where you can help them optimize faster and more effectively, meaning start them off on whitelisting them where they need to be, give them the detailed strategy, targeting strategy that has already been learned. It's already it's in the benefit of the native network to give this strategies out as a standard, not as something that has to be earned, not something that only once you've earned your stripes, because it's part of the system. That obviously, if someone has to master the system in order to make it work, then the system, something is wrong there. The system shouldn't be mastered. Google doesn't take much to master Google, right? But it takes a lot to master native. That's why there's people like Andre here who've mastered it, who've learned over time. But people like Yulia and her team, could also help us, not us, but our publisher, some of the less fortunate ones who might not have access to Andre, who might not have access, to services, to be able to get a good solid start on these platforms. So yeah, while you bring them in and while native, I personally believe that every single publisher should explore native, and it will be kind of dumb not to. It will kind of be, you're losing money if you don't explore native. It's losing money if you don't sign up with a network like MGID and at least give it a shot. But then also, they need a good, what I call it, better support and guidance from the start, from like the very start, so they can launch a campaign to increase the higher success rate of it, which makes it a win-win for both.
Definitely. And the silver lining of your words is that we do not want people to spend for the sake of just spending. You're buying the data that later on you're optimizing your campaigns towards, whereas it's a bit different how it works with Meta. And this is why the logic should be changed. And that's why there are Xivio and other companies that are helping the advertisers with that. But regarding the high CPA offers, well, the cost of mistake there is much more expensive. So for those who are new, especially to native as the source, we recommend to take the offers with a lower CPA. Therefore, there would be more room for testing and optimizing at a lesser cost. So again, It depends. And that's why we are so prone and highlighting the fact that people, media buyers, advertisers should talk to the sales rep, account manager to get these things straightened up, because we know this information, we're eager to share it. That's why we do this educational series here with Stefan, to spread this information, that we're open to help out and find the right combo of the offer, affiliate network, geo, vertical, CPC, etc., to make things work.
Yeah. Good points.
Guys, we are hitting 2 hours. So I think
But it's good, very good 2 hours.
Yeah, it's very good 2 hours. And I
think we covered everything.
We covered everything
that we could have covered.
And I have the feeling, Frank, you can say my best regards to Adam. I think this will be now a video with way more views than the one that I had with him alone. Yeah, it was really fantastic, and my head is also super loaded with new interesting informations, and that is always helping me to speak with affiliates and with people in the industry on a higher level, even when it's maybe not affecting me totally directly. So before we close that, I want to give each of you the opportunity to have some final words. It can be a final thought on native in general, an advice, or it can be maybe also a little pitch of what you are specially providing to people that don't work yet with you or want to work with you, and so on. So please, Yulia, we started with you, we end with you also the final round. So please, you are first.
You're not giving me time to think about it, huh?
Okay, then I give it first. You want somebody else to start?
Fine, I was joking. So all in all, the main goal again for us to be here is to share the knowledge that we have to more people, especially to the newbies who are just trying to expand into other advertising channels apart from the conventional ones. A few things about MGID, since we talked a lot about native, but for the branded type of the clients, we do also have some other ad formats like rich media, like display and video, and that's something that can be handed. But since our focus today mostly was we were speaking to affiliate managers and affiliate marketeers, so that's why I haven't covered that. But in case anybody's listening and interested in some more interactive ad formats, we have that available. All in all, I also want to highlight that native, I want to change the perception that native is something very difficult to work with. Again, the approach to it should be changed. So the people who come with the meta background should take into account that this is different, and copying something that performs there, again, would not necessarily make a success in the native. So for starting with native, take your time to learn about that. And there is Native Hub that you can use for knowledge, because we have recorded sessions with MGID. They have other native players being there, the tracking solution. So there is this comprehensive information about native ecosystem and how it works. So there are educational platforms for that. Secondly, it's the budgeting, because again, as Frank said, we're not just asking to spend money for the sake of spending money. Native is that's why we say that for testing period is 2 weeks, ideally 1 month, because during first week, you're just buying the data that later on you're going to be optimizing towards your goals. And for that, you need to have some sort of the budget. So coming with $100, $500 budget would not, I wouldn't even recommend going with native. Rather spend it on Facebook. That would probably in a short term that would give you better results. So for that, apart from the knowledge that you have, also collect the resources and mainly time and patience. And we on our side would be happy to help you out to optimize the campaigns, to give all of our tips to make sure that you reach your goals. So that's my final word.
Right.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Frank, go ahead,
So should I go ahead? All right. Well,
please.
if you're a publisher and you have already part of native, native is part of your strategy with traffic, and you're into verticals such as e-commerce or health, you should come and talk to us at Guru Media, because we also have a lot of other people just like you who are making it happen. And we've been in the business for 14 years. And just like at the beginning of this call, I said, we used to be a very private network, and we're still private, but we have a process of joining. So you can just go to Guru Media, just sign up, and someone will be in touch with you. That's it.
I want to say that the reason everyone should be running native is because I don't want to say that native's been staying in the shadow for a long time, but I feel like it's been severely underused, and for no reason actually. Because if you look at it from the perspective of the reach, it's massive. If you look at it from the perspective of the premium, it's some of the most premium traffic in the world, multiplied by transparency. Because again, and we talked about it already, you buy a lot of traffic and you know exactly what traffic you're paying for. You can choose which traffic you're buying. So you have transparency, you have the flexibility, you have the reach. And finally, let's say I don't mean to bash, the competitors, but let's say if you're buying Meta and Google, do you really get personalized account management support or, a dedicated salesperson in the initial stages? Yeah, sure. If you're Coca-Cola, maybe. Not maybe, you will get support if you're Coca-Cola. But if you're a D2C owner who sits in their own flat and you're drop shipping, or let's say you're just getting started with your own brand, or even let's say you're a large brand owner, but you don't necessarily have a significant online presence, they will not talk to you, right? It will be the case of money first and then maybe. With native, someone who is not necessarily at the top of the pyramid, for some reason, you have to work twice as hard to get the attention and twice as hard to show that, the service levels are extremely high. So you're getting the best service, you're getting amazing product, and you know exactly what you're paying for. This is the reason you should be running native. And our company's been in native for quite a while. My co-founders, quite a few of them actually, left with me from the traffic source to form this amazing new venture. Some of us been buying native for almost 10 years now, so we understand it. We genuinely believe in it, and we would love to help everyone, whether you're just getting started and you need some consulting, or you're an established brand who wants just an extra set of eyes to have a look at your campaigns and help you scale.
Very good.
That's it from my side.
Then I want to take the chance to close this. I want to thank all of you for really sharing this true unfiltered knowledge. I was very silent for being in a podcast. That says a lot. I also appreciate a lot that beside like some final words, or maybe here in between, it was really like keeping it poor on educational level and not here at Google. We have the best offers, bro. We are killing it. MGID, we have the biggest sources, blah, 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 blah. Oh, our agency. So it was not like this. And that really says a lot about you guys. So thank you all for participating, and also a special thanks, Andrew, to you who came up with this initiative, and also for the trust of selecting me to host it as somebody that is not working with native as a main focus. So really thank you.
Our main goal now will be to convert you to native, Stefan.
Oh, we should.
I can be a native media buyer for my book. I can try this. So maybe I should do that.
Yeah, let's discuss it after.
We do that. And so really thank you for this. I will link all the contact details and informations of you in this captions. And thank you. And guys, don't be shy to reach out to our 3 fantastic speakers. And thanks once again. Thanks for participating and sharing knowledge.
Thank you, Yulia, for the idea, and thank you, Andre, for coming on here, and for all of you being patient with my sickness and other thing and stuff, and for you giving us a platform to be here as well. I appreciate it a lot. We all at Guru Media appreciate you guys, all of you. Thank you so much.
Greetings to the team.
Okay. Here. Thanks a lot for organizing and hosting this, and to all of you guys, you're absolutely amazing. It's such a pleasure working with you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Thanks a lot.
It
was super fun.
It was. Thank you. It was. Jesus Christ.